Excuse me, do you know Margo?
Excuse me, her name is Margo. Not Margo or Mango was Fargo. Yeah, someone said Wells Fargo. Like, her name is Margo.
If you were on TikTok during the COVID-20, then you're likely familiar with this meme, and possibly its creator, Roman Hawk. Roman Hawk, like many other young, somewhat talented TikTokers around the lockdown era, blew up on TikTok after uploading this funny little song with her bearded dragon. After uploading this funny little song, it hit millions of views very fast. Many people were very taken by it. It hit them right in the feels, man. Right in the heart. Roman then went on to react to fan edits of her, drawings of Margo, even remixes of the original song. Hawk then went on to make more cute little TikTok videos, her little lizard friend, and continued on happily ever after, right? No. Actually. As of now, Margo is actually dead. Margo is no longer with us. And Roman Hawk has deleted their TikTok account. You might be asking, oh my god, why? Why would they do this? That's a wonderful question. Let me answer that for you. Sometime after Roman blew up, they began exploring other means of making monetary gains. Roman needed to stack. Roman started selling adult content. That's right, Roman Hawk ended up becoming an OF creator. Now this in itself, there's nothing wrong with it, of course. Plenty of people do this. I support sex work, you know, it's great. You know, employ yourself, stick it to the man. However, the problem comes when you realize that Roman didn't make a separate account to promote this content. Now remember, Roman blew up after making a funny little song at the age of 17, basically overnight, in the middle of the COVID era, when a good portion of TikTok's user base was underage children due to schools being out and everybody being stuck at home. That being said, well, of course, it's completely unfair to say that Roman was purposefully putting this content out for minors to indulge in. You have to acknowledge the fact that they ended up making this content and pushing it out on their main account where there were undoubtedly children lurking. Now yes, of course, that's not great. That's one strike, right? Nothing too bad. A little bit of ignorance, but other than that, you know, it's fine, right? Well, do you remember how I told you that Margo is now dead? Margo actually passed away due to a specific type of cancer. Unfortunate. Margo died at 7 years old. A lot of bearded dragons often live a minimum of about 8 to 10 years, a maximum of like 15 to 20. Them little suckers stick around for a while, and you might be asking yourself, 8 to 10 years? 7 is pretty young, especially to catch cancer. How did this happen? Well, many people on TikTok now believe that the reason for Margo's early passing was because Roman Hawk was not taking proper care of her. Do we have evidence to support this? Actually, we do.
So, I'm at my wit's fucking end. I'm wearing a suit head because I haven't showered in a few days because I just can't bring myself to even fucking take care of myself right now.
Disgusting!
Your loved one dies. Something you cared about more than anything, and all you wanted to do was give a restful life as they got older, and they died of cancer. Cancer, something no one caused. Something no one could prevent.
See, what Tony the Tiger is saying here is that Margo died of cancer, something that nobody could have caused and nobody could have prevented. It's a tragedy. It is not great. The only thing about this statement is, while yes, when it comes to a person, this could likely be true. When it comes to a domestic pet, these things can happen spontaneously. However, if there are signs of neglect and signs of poor health, you can make an educated assumption that whatever actions and whatever consequences from those actions led up to that unhealthy state in that domesticated pet could probably more than likely point toward the health risk and the health issue that is now meeting your pet at its end. Here's the thing about Margo. Margo was obese when she was young, and this is something that Hawk was actually aware of way earlier than she bothered talking about. She had actually made a TikTok, a little skit about an interaction she had with another, I am assuming, pet owner who pointed out the fact that Margo was overweight. Now, they say here afterward that Margo had gone on a diet and that it was helping and that Margo had lost weight.
You want to know why? Because her uterus went septic.
A septic uterus. Except, here's the thing about that. Bearded dragons don't actually have uteruses. Now, this is something I didn't know at first, but it's something a lot of people picked up on. You know, because a bearded dragon, while being an exotic pet, isn't an uncommon pet. Plenty of people on the internet, plenty of people who are not chronically on the internet have bearded dragons and are probably aware of this fact. So I am not saying that whatever would be in the place of a uterus for a bearded dragon could not be septic. I will say that this is likely due to an unclean environment. Could I be wrong? Very possibly. You know, there's always a chance. However, Margo was overweight. Margo was miscolored. Margo was not the right color to signify health.
Her tank was set up the way it was for her own fucking safety. And if you ever even knew Margo, like none of you ever fucking did, you would know she didn't like to climb. She didn't like to be up in high spaces. She preferred to sit and bask.
So I believe what you're telling us is your lizard was depressed. The lizard was depressed. A bearded dragon not wanting to do bearded dragon things isn't a personality trait. It is not a furry. I highly doubt Margo was chilling with you, living off of Taco Bell, and watching Steven Universe by choice. This is no hate towards Steven Universe. I think it's a fine cartoon. Margo was mistreated and did not have an environment that stimulated her. If your bearded dragon is looking around a shoebox and acknowledges that yes, I live in a shoebox, they're probably not going to want to run around or try to climb on anything in the first place. Hawk had the wrong bed in there for her. Apparently, bearded dragons aren't supposed to have any kind of cloth or any kind of cotton in their environment. However, Margo did, unfortunately. Now, the cloth itself, I highly doubt it affected her negatively. However, that wasn't the only issue Margo was having. Margo had a septic something. Something was septic, supposedly. Margo had cancer. Margo was overeating. And the thing about anything that's made of any kind of cloth or cotton and a reptile's cage is that it holds bacteria. It holds things that can later on make that reptile sick. Hawk, you keep on bringing up the fact that this was your pet. You were around her 24/7. We didn't know her. I didn't stay up late at night talking to Margo. Margo didn't save my life. Margo and I didn't grow up together. Margo and I never went to the mall, to the skating ring. Margo and I never went to the movies. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't fucking know who Margo is. I know Margo's not Wells Fargo.
Someone said Wells Fargo. Like,
The thing about that, though, is you did make Margo into some kind of micro-celebrity. You continued making content. You got the internet invested in your pet's life, and therefore your life, and kept that investment up for your own monetary gain. And you used that invest in order to promote your OnlyFans, which in itself, there's nothing wrong with that. However, now we're looking at the fact that you're telling us that you were with Margo 24/7, Margo was having all these health issues, Margo died early, and now you're treating everybody like idiots for acknowledging the fact that you were not taking proper care of your pet that you gave a platform to. You're angry that people are pointing this out. Now, in this situation, the right thing would be to say, this is my first pet. I got her when I was very young. I did not know what I was doing. The proper response isn't to dress up like a fucking Hotline Miami cosplayer and tell everybody that they're fucking idiots for being upset about the animal that you got them invested in. That is called irresponsibility. That is not the owning up to your actions. And these are your actions. Like you said, we didn't know Margo. It wasn't my job to keep Margo's cage clean. It wasn't my job to make sure that I upsized it as she grew. It wasn't my job to not feed her fucking Taco Bell. That was all you. That was you. Not anybody else. You admit it yourself. And that is the point. That is what everybody here is saying. But surely that can't be it. It never is. So let's continue.
And for all the other fucking people saying like the 4K, do you not know that the necropsy autopsy, the payment for the shipping her body overnight across the fucking country, the payment for the services, the payment for the urn, the payment to ship back, all of that fucking adds up. Saying I'm using this 4K to buy a new fursuit, why the fuck? I'm moving. I'm in the middle of moving. I have so much other things to think about than a stupid fucking costume. I'm wearing this because I look like shit. I haven't had a single fucking moment to grieve. I haven't had a single fucking moment to process anything going on. You were using screenshots and shit from 5 years ago when I didn't know proper husbandry, and you're just like, oh, that's still going. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck.
Holy baloney, Batman. Money for shipping? For cremation? What is Hawk talking about? Well, Hawk actually, after the passing of Margo, put up a GoFundMe to raise money for Margo's autopsy, cremation, and taxidermy. There have been multiple professionals who work in the field who looked at everything Hawk wants to have done with Margo's corpse, which by the way, is in a freezer right now. And they have all very plainly agreed that you can have all this done for a bearded dragon, which let me remind you is a very small animal. for less than $1,000. But wait, that can't be right, because you see, Hawk is asking for $4,000 to get everything done. Also, why do you have to ship her over the cross? Why do you have to ship her halfway across the country? Is there nowhere nearby that you can get her cremated in?
Yourself. All of you deserve to rot. All of you.
Hawk says here, we all deserve to rot. No thank you, Hawk. I think, instead, I'll sit in the freezer for about a week. Hawk had also made a TikTok around 2023 saying that they had made $1 million. $1 million. Keep in mind, other than the lizard, Hawk has no children. Hawk has no roommate. Hawk does not have any monetary responsibilities outside of their own well-being. And of course, there are multiple comments saying, well, people's situations change. Things, cost money, things add up. I want to ask you something. If you are among the top 2% of all OF creators, you make $1 million, you have millions of followers on TikTok, and you are living alone in a home that you supposedly own, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they are renting. How are you burning through $1 million in 2 years? I don't know a single fucking person, except for maybe Charlie Sheen, who can blow through $1 million in 2 years. You are in a position that not many people will ever find themselves. You should be able to take care of yourself and afford proper care for your pet, and afford to take care of your pet after their passing. Wasn't your lizard overweight because you didn't take care of her right? Didn't you put her on a diet and manage not to get her to lose weight within like 5 years? Hey Roman, isn't that enclosure a little too small? Hey Roman, didn't you have like 3 other pets that died? Hey Roman, aren't you one of the top creators on OF? Didn't you say you made like $1 million, over $1 million about 2 years ago? Hey Roman, didn't you say you have your own home? What rent are you paying, Roman? Hey Roman, if you can't afford to take care of your pet, how are you walking on with 4 fursuits? Hey Roman, what is going on? And instead of answering this like an adult, Roman decided to break down, dress like a fucking cereal mascot, and not tell us anything. Since then, Roman Hawk has deleted their TikTok account, and for now, other than their adults-only Twitter, which I encourage you not to look up, please, they have erased their presence off the internet. And you know what? Good fucking riddance. Roman, I don't think you're an evil person, however, this was grossly irresponsible of you. You've done many grossly irresponsible things, and I think you need time to reflect. Well, other than that, I have nothing else to say. I did want to say thank you all so much. I am now at 100 subs, and I only started 2 months ago. That's pretty amazing. I think that's great. You guys have been clicking on every video I've posted, and I really appreciate it. I really would not continue doing this if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for all of you. Now, I do have to go to bed. I have things to do tomorrow. Hotline Miami is going to play itself.